Now the man needs essentially no introduction. He's Sam JAUZ Vogel? Vogel?
Vogel. You had it right the first
Vogel.
time.
Okay, great.
It's German for bird.
Well, now, yeah, I mean, you have been flying high recently. Can you give us a little introduction and
Nice
as an
segue.
artist and how you how you got into crypto?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny because I've been really, really closely surrounded by crypto for a long time. Uh via, people that I'm friends with, family, so on and so forth. And I don't know if it's just me as a person or it's something about being a creator and an artist, but I have a really hard time being a part of something or putting time, effort, money, or hope into something that I can't directly control. It's why I never put money in the stock market, other than, I have a bit in CDs, stuff that's really safe. But I basically was like, I'm not putting a bunch of my money somewhere to give to some dude who's I have no idea what he's doing. I have no idea what companies he's investing in. Either I'm going to become a full-time day trader or I'm not doing it. And I'm going to make my money, work for me and do the things that I know how to do. And that's basically how I've treated cryptocurrency up until now, because there was never a point in time until something like Rally existed for me to be like, okay, I understand this, it applies to my life, and it's basically completely up to me how successful this coin, this community, this ecosystem that I create around it becomes.
Glad we
Um,
saw all of that effort really pay off last week with, the
I
thoughtfulness of
think it
the
was a joint
announcement.
effort, but I appreciate that. Um, yeah,
Yep.
I definitely didn't think that the launch would go as well as it did. So thank you to everyone in the rally community that made that uh, you know, a reality. But at the end of the day, what a lot of what Lee said is exactly why I wanted to do something like this. And I've heard the word Patreon brought up a couple times here, and that's up until something like a rally was around, Patreon or OnlyFans before it became what it is now. Because when it first started, OnlyFans was essentially for people like me to do something like on Patreon, and I have a lot of friends that utilize those platforms, and I think it's great. Um, but it felt a little one dimensional for me, if that makes sense. And then to see something like a creator coin come around where it's the possibilities of its applications and its use cases for someone like me are completely endless. I was like, okay, this is something I can get behind. And again, kind of, literally as Lee was talking, I was like, oh my God, I have all these ideas. So I started noting them down. But like a lot of what she said, about putting the needs, the demands, the desires of the consumer side of, and for me, what I would call the consumer side of my community are the fans, really, right? Um, and yes, they consume things. They're the reason that I have a job, but the whole idea behind me creating a coin was to be able to give them the agency that they never had before. And I think it's something that, I've tried to do in the past. And I think a lot of artists, um, you know, love to talk about how their community means so much to them. And, they do everything they do for their community. And this is literally a way to be able to put your money where your mouth is. Um, and we're still at very much the tip of the iceberg with what BTX will inevitably become. But that was my whole mission behind creating BTX was basically to almost take myself out of the equation and figure out how do I allow the people that care about this community the most to actually shape where it goes in the future outside of the music side. No one it doesn't matter who they are, whether they're a manager or a record label or a fan. No one gets to tell me how to make the music that I make. But outside of that,
Get in there.
I yeah, I want I want it to be a whole little country, like a little its own little government.
Yeah,
with,
yeah, the sovereign state of JAUZ.
yeah, of
Yeah.
BTX.
Of BT. Okay, deal.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you kicked off your announcement spree last week, you spoke specifically of a vision. Is that was the vision, having the
Yeah.
BTX island?
So, well, kind of, but also not really, because I didn't really know that this was something that was possible, right? But there were two things that I really had always wanted to do. One of them was start the record label that we started in partnership with everything that happened, which is called Bite This Now. It's a subsidiary of my main record label that's completely uh, focused and dedicated on servicing royalty-free, DMCA-free music to content creators, YouTubers, streamers, podcasters, whoever, there's this massive community of people that want to support awesome music. But up until, now, up until very recently, there was kind of a disconnect between, like, if you wanted to use the music that you listen to on a normal basis, generally you're not going to be able to use that in your content. And then the music that you use in your content is like, it's pretty cool. And don't get me wrong, there's platforms, like Monster Cat or No Copyright Sounds that have come before that, really put out quality music. But in my specific world, I felt like there was a huge disconnect between the quality of music that was coming out that was able to be utilized by this massive, massive community of artists and creators. And then on the flip side, so that's the consumer, right? On the other side, there's a huge untapped market of artists, and this is really where the idea came from. Is when I was an up and coming artist, not that I'm not still an up and coming artist, but when I was, really getting my feet off the ground, having to wait 4 months to put out one song, regardless of what label you went to, was a nightmare. And I remember talking to one of the CEOs of Monster Cat back in 2016, and I said, I'm going to start this label where you can just put out music literally the next day, and that's going to be it. And he was like, that's not possible. And I was like, well, I'll figure it out. And, kind of thanks to Rally and all of these things that, you know, um, have kind of come together in this one beautiful moment, I was able to figure out exactly how to do that. So our turnaround time isn't 1 day, it's 3 days. But I mean, I don't really know another record label that has a turnaround time like that. So the whole goal, to take it a little more macro, is to empower artists, especially up and coming artists, as much as I possibly can, while also empowering and servicing this huge community within my community that, has kind of been starving.
Yeah, and to deliver on that goal of helping both of those folks, you've got a pretty entertaining product.
Right.
Can you tell us a little bit about like demo roulette and the vehicle that you're kind of
Yeah.
using to drive this bus?
So demo roulette is almost like the second side of, what I I really wanted to be able to do. The real, but before I dive into demo roulette, the whole idea of the name BTX was a concept that I had came up with a long time ago, of the Byte This universe being this all encompassing, it has to do with music, it has to do with gaming. Uh, it'll get into action sports. Like the main, like, my like pipe dream goal was to start a music festival, or a festival that incorporated all of the things that I'm passionate about into one. That being, live music, gaming, action sports, so on and so forth. I mean, it could go as big and as wide and as far as we wanted it to. And that's exactly why I chose the name BTX for the coin, is because, this isn't, if it was JAWS coin, then it's just tied to me. That's pretty one dimensional. But my goal with the coin is to be able to expand into all of these different markets that I care about a lot. So again, very, very tip of the iceberg, especially with demo roulette. But that is, what I'd like to call our anchor for now. It's the thing that I spent the most time developing. And for those of you who aren't really familiar with it, because I'm sure there's plenty of you, Demo roulette is something that I started on Twitch last year, and it was really just me randomly listening to songs that up and coming artists would send to me, and I would give them feedback. I might open up the project and kind of collaborate with them on it and kind of give them guidance. Um, but the one thing that I realized about that segment or that series was that there wasn't enough fan interaction. It was really just me working with other artists, with other creators, which is cool from an educational standpoint. But the whole reason that I started streaming and then the whole reason that I started BTX was to engage the entire community. So me and Alex and Rob kind of put our heads down and basically turned Demo Roulette from this like kind of educational stream into like what I'd like to call like the American Idol for music producers. So we
I mean,
developed
tell
an
us about that first show.
yeah, it was really cool, man. I should probably share my screen if I know
Yeah,
how to do that.
get
I
in there.
should yeah.
I'm gonna share
So
everybody that that highlight reel that we just got made as
yeah, the
well.
highlight reel is way cooler than me talking. Host disabled. Can someone enable share screen for me?
Right
There we
now.
go. Perfect. So this is the splash page for Demo Roulette where you can see, and there's actually a lot of songs that I haven't even approved to be up on the platform right now. But basically, within 24 hours of us starting the platform, we have, I think now with all the submissions that I haven't gone through yet, probably 50 or 60 songs from artists all over the world.
That is sick.
And the really cool thing about building this basically our own version of SoundCloud is that before it was only every Monday I would randomly listen to people's songs, and if you were lucky enough for me to pick your song and go through it and like it, that's really all you got. But now we have this platform where the entire community can go onto this website every single day, listen to the new songs that get populated. They can use votes or they can boost songs using BTX to the top of the leaderboard. And at the end of every month, the idea is that the top 10 songs based on plays, likes, boosts, I
The
think that's
magic
the only
JAUZ button.
magic JAWS button. That's the one I was forgetting. Um, will all be considered for release on our new record label, Bite This Now. They'll also get, potentially prizes like, BTX. They'll get, maybe gift packs of different companies that I work with, whatever. So it's really become this all encompassing, like, it's really cool for me to do. It's really cool for artists who want to get their name out there, who want, new fans. And it's really cool for fans. And this is the most important part to me is that now the community actually gets to dictate where the record label goes. Because, I mean, we're going to get demos service to us outside of Demo Roulette. But my goal would be is that 90% of the songs that we release on Bite This Now come directly from the Demo Roulette platform. So then, like, just by having BTX, just by being a part of your community, you're actually helping shape, the future of the record label. And then you really feel like, your voice matters.
And it absolutely delivers on that vision. I think that the brainchild that you're able to bring to life thanks to the Rally Treasury is like a very special thing. It's not often that you see such an innovative project now available also for open source within the Rally community, right? This is something that can also be reskinned and reapplied because it was ultimately budgeted by the Treasury. So this becomes something that if you guys have good ideas, hit us up. Let's talk about getting it reskinned. JAUZ.
Yeah.
What are you looking like forward to right now? Where's all the focus? What's your next? What's your summer looking like?
I mean, we'll see what happens. It sounds like there's a lot of concerts that are going to start to happen. I'm a little apprehensive.
Close your screen so I can see you.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
It sounds like I'm going to be back out on the road. I've kind of enjoyed my time at home. I'm going to be honest. But I mean, that's where the future of, BTX is going to take us. You know, I don't want to get too into details before we actually iron it out, but my management agency and Rob have been going over the concept of doing a tour at the end of the year where tickets are exclusively sold through Rally, or through BTX, through Rally, same difference basically. To really almost, to me, it's almost like a proof of concept, right? Uh, we do these shows where like basically I would be buying all the tickets to my show myself, and then I'll be my own promoter and be like, hey, if you want to come to my show and you want to see my concert, you have to be a part of our world. And then maybe that helps someone who isn't so familiar with crypto, who isn't aware of what BTX is or what it does, to kind of get their foot in the door.
Dude, you make all the tickets NFTs, and then they could also secondary market it,
You're
and you
segueing
still
into my next,
participate in this percentage. Yeah, you're brilliant. You're months ahead, dude.
Maddie. I just saw what you said in the chat. I'm
Oh, did he say it?
200% down. I love it. I love it. I'm way down. So yeah, to touch on NFTs for a second, you know, I've
We we
actually
do have one more talk after us, so I just want this has to be our
okay.
last point. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Um, the one thing I want to say is I've kind of stayed away from NFTs. We're like slowly developing a couple really cool ones, but I didn't want to be one of those guys that rushed into it, especially from my community, and tried to make a quick cash grab, so to speak, because it's not looking good on the rest of my community as far as electronic artists. Um, and it's just never been the way that I've operated. I've never really cared about making as much money as I could, as fast as I could. It's really more about the long haul. And speaking of live shows and NFTs, I think that for my community is where everything is going to change. The ideas that I've been talking about with people is that, you know, not that it's going to be cool for me to be able to sell NFTs as concert tickets, but that Ticketmaster is going to be selling all of their tickets as NFTs. AXS is going to be using NFTs in place of any real ticket, because if you think about it, anything on the blockchain, you basically can't duplicate. You can't forge it. You're not going to be able to get sold a bum ticket outside of the Staples Center and then go inside. You know, it's pretty much a foolproof way for someone to know whether you have a real ticket or not. The resale market, which is a huge negative aspect of live touring, basically goes away because of the way that you can bake in percentages to NFTs. So then if someone buys your concert ticket for $100, then resells it for 1,000, at least the artist and then also, you know, the ticket provider is going to be getting a cut of that. So then they're not losing out on as much. And it also doesn't make it as lucrative for those ticket resellers in the first place. So it's a win-win there. And then that's not even talking about the fact that every single concert that you do on a tour can be its own unique NFT that's as many tickets out of as many tickets, and then it never gets created again. Yeah, Yellow Heart is basically the start of that. And because, you know, you already look at it now, there's certain bands that tour and they make a poster for every single stop, and you can only get it that year at that stop. And some of those posters sell for insane amounts of money, or just have so much intrinsic value to those artists. And these are all things that'll basically just be as easy as going to, you know, Ticketmaster to buy a ticket to a concert, which is like, you know, every time I talk about it, I get more excited because it's like that is the future of the music industry, and it blows my mind.
Yeah, exciting times ahead for sure. Sam, thank you so much for joining us for this chat. Really appreciate you and your time.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for having me. Super stoked to be a part of this community, and wait to see where it all goes.
Congratulations again, and back to you, Grant.
Awesome.